Muai, a mute monument to what man can do to nature. An example of what nature can do for man is Timbaktu. In Telugu, Timbaktu means the meeting point between the earth and sky. In practice, Timbaktu means man, woman, and child live and build as a part of nature, thus meeting up the sky with the earth.
In 89, I took a break. That's when I came across Masanobu Fukuoka, who was a Japanese botanist turned agriculturist. And he wrote this very fantastic book called The One Straw Revolution. That really caught my imagination.
This area is chronically drought affected, and there's a large tracts of wasteland. So the idea of can we make a piece of land that is completely degraded, make it green? So that idea was quite interesting and challenging.
And then we bought this land, 32 acres for 32,000 rupees. You can imagine what this land was all. It was barren, there were no trees here, there was no grass also growing here. These hills which you will see are reserve forest. It was without any trees. Grass, yes, but no trees. And the number of species was just 21 species. I mean, there are trees here that may be at least 50, 60, 70 years old. But they've been chopped again and again and again. So completely traumatized little bushes like bonsai, all over the place. And because these hills burn so much, every year they used to burn, that there were no other grasses other than this bodha grass, the thatch grass that you see. That's all. So I used to come here every day and start digging trenches and all that kind of stuff. And then that year we put our first crop. There's only one flat piece of land somewhere there. And we put our first crop. And of course, all the fellows who used to come and work with me, they were all actually laughing at me. Because they were all saying that nothing is going to grow here. So we put our first crop and the crop of course failed. Then I went and bought 7,000 plants, trees, coconut, papaya, and all sorts of things and planted it all over. And they all started dying. The most crucial thing that we learned was that this land needs healing because it's so traumatized, so much in trouble, and nothing growing here, no animals, nothing. So we started protecting. That's how the whole thing of protecting this piece of land started. And slowly we came to understand that, we need to also start doing something about the hills. I mean, forest and agriculture, this relationship also we began to understand. That without a forest, you cannot really have agriculture. It was more from the strength of actually living here That made the difference. If we had been living in the village and coming here every day, maybe we would not have been able to do what we did.
Developing the house here or growing the house, like it was very, very interesting and sometimes very frustrating. But I think it was worth it because I think like a finished house, which can stand any calamities and which can, keep away any wildlife, anything, and it's built for human. I think it's a dead thing. Like it is too much finished, concrete walls and concrete roof and the teak doors, and it is too finished and too dead. I appreciate the security of a completely perfectly done house. Uh, but then there is a lot of fun in playing around with the concept of a house.
Whether we are building a standalone structure or a complex, we are engaging in a dynamic relationship with a larger environment, a habitat in which is encoded choices that man makes.
First thing we built was a machan, I told you. Then machan got burnt. We said we have to build something. I mean, someone has to come and stay here. So we didn't know anything about like farming. We didn't know anything about building either. So kaisa banaye? So those guys who used to come to work here, I asked them, how do you guys build your huts? No, let's start building like that. They said what we need is stone and mud. So we just started carrying stone from the stream up to here. So 10 people carrying stone, literally one stone per head kind of thing. But there is a quarry just here. So from there we got these, granite poles. So we needed two of that to actually build a hut. And the rest was stone. So the first hut was the one in which Simhachalam and Sashi live. It was built by us totally without any architect, without any mason. We did it. It's a very simple thing. You just put the stones and you keep putting mud in that, mixing mud. That's where, this is the fun that children have with mud. I really enjoyed that whole thing. Of course, the roof had to be made. And for roof, the grass was available here. These toddy palms, the date palms. So they make mats with that, which has to be put on the roof. It was only the poles for making the roof, the wood for the roof, that we got from Dharmavaram, which is 20 kilometers from here. Otherwise, everything was from here, just from this land and the hills around. Then one day, I was in Dharmavaram and I found these people living in these beautiful huts. And what had they done? They had taken bamboo, split it, and they had made these mats with bamboo. And they had built walls with that. And whitewashed it. Bas. I said, how long does this take? He said, it takes, about 2-3 days to make the mats. And it takes about a day to put it up. And the thatching takes about 2 days. So the next hut that we made was a bamboo hut. It was completely, the walls were all bamboo mats. We cut it open and made windows and all that with 2 doors and a thatch roof. So by 92, we started staying here, living here actually. Earlier, before that, we were going up and down. We were 5 of us living in there for almost a year. By then we said, yaar, kuch to ghar banana padega, more permanent and all that, because the bears were still coming. Suddenly one day 2 architects landed up here. And just sitting and chatting, we said, we want to build a place, but we have no money. Kya kare, kind of thing. So they said, why do you need money to build? I said, what? They said, just let's start building, yeah. With whatever you have, you start and let it grow as you. And actually, I thought it's a very interesting idea. Let's try it. So we started building with what we knew. We read a lot. So they came and went. For a few months, they came and went. But what they did was they sent us these 2 masons. They explained to us this concept of adobe bricks, meaning sun-dried bricks. So we started mixing the soil here, sand from the stream, mix it up and make bricks. First we did the roundhouse. It took about 2-3 months doing that. Then we built the place that we stay in. That's only one part of it. There are 2 parts. One part is our place and one was for John. And so we went on to then build our room and bathroom and all that. And then we built John's room. And then we built the upstairs of the whole thing. It took us about 3 years to build that, slowly. But it was all from this material here. The wood was local from here, nearby. And there was no cement, nothing from distance. All the bricks were made here, the mud is from here, the sand was from here, and the wood was from nearby, and we built that whole place. And we did the thatching. So we decided that we must keep to this thatch thing because that's a local thing and it's a dying tradition. And anyway, thatch is available here, the grass is available, so let's go for it. So we built that. It's only now I'm understanding so many mistakes we made, but it's still there. And that to me is the interesting part of mud construction.
The white ants issue, like we had so many times we had to change things because of white ants. Or keeping out the animals, like even cats, things like that. Because once we thought like, yeah, let it be open, like the sparrows come and make their nest. But then we found that the sparrows come and make their nest, it is, the roof doesn't stay, like it start disintegrating. Like even this house right now, there is some cracks and it's mud walls. So if some water get into the cracks, it can collapse. But then that gives new opportunities.
Mud is of course, the most wonderful building material, but it's very flexible. So this whole thing in traditional architecture is where you tie in, you tie the base. When you do the foundation, you tie it up. Then you tie it up on the top. Nothing. We didn't do anything. Then we put the roof on the top. And we didn't even tie the roof. We said we must do a roof which does not have a central thing. If we put the wood in triangular shape and all the joints are triangular, then equilateral triangles, all the pressure must be the same. And we built it, it's a 20 feet diameter thing, and the roof still stands today. And the 60-kilometer wind has not thrown it away. People who came and saw it, they said, no, you must tie the roof down, do something about it. We didn't do nothing. Winds have come, everything has come, the roof is sitting. But the whole thing with sustainable housing and lifestyle is that all the time you have to keep working on it. You have to keep doing things. So there is nothing that is permanent. It's all in a flux. It keeps changing. So that's what we did with the house. First we built that round house. And when the round house was being built, first the walls came up. And inside we had sand. So people used to sleep inside there. It was great. We used to build a fire inside and sit and all that. So we were living there with the sand and the thatch and the half-built house. We had no windows. Only the openings were there. No, because the idea was that we'd put these bamboo mats and we'd open it and keep it. But the wind became so heavy that we said, yaar, window to lagana padega. And that's how we went into putting the window. Original design did not have any window, means frame and wood and all that. So we put the window. So while doing that, there was a meeting called by Janvikas Andolan. And Janvikas Andolan wanted to have its national meet. So within a month, we built the hexagon. Now, how did that hexagon happen? How did that happen? That was also, there was no design, no architecture, nobody came and told us. We said, yeah, we need to make a place where people can also lie down, sleep, and they can also attend the meeting. We can't have too many places. And it first came out as a hexagonal space, then the rooms on the sides. The roof was not joined. It just had mats on the top, that's it, no grass, nothing. So we had one of those huts as the office and one of the huts in which we were sleeping. And then we joined the roof. Then the white ants came and ate up the poles on which it was sitting. So they were going to collapse. So we changed the whole thing, all stone pillars we got from here. Then slowly it was open on all sides. Then we said, no, we must close the sides because the dogs come in and all that kind of stuff. वो कर दिए, फिर देखें कि birds have taken over the place. When we have a meeting or anything like that, the buggers are shitting and they are making noise and like as if we are the intruders into their space. So बोले इतना बड़ा साला जंगल बना रहे हैं and they want to come here and there's a fact, there's the only shade in the place, so they're coming. No? So then we put up the wall properly, put a mesh around it and to try and stop this from happening. We redid the thatch. So it kind of grew. The hexagon itself grew over the years. Even now it's not a permanent structure, but it is more permanent than it was then. Another set of houses which we call Saregama, which was for the guests and all that kind of stuff. That we built earlier we were using, we were using the lime slurry mixed with termite mound mud and lime slurry to do the plastering. And it was quite good because the white ants don't come back to their mud because it does not have that cellulose. We thought, why don't we build with chuna and lime, which was traditional here. So we in fact made a kind of a gunny, in which the chuna was crushed, mixed with sand. But we didn't know the exact mix, because you have to mix a lot of things. In fact, even eggshells and egg white and, a lot of things. And nowhere is there any proper documentation. So all those 4 buildings were built with, again, adobe bricks. And then we realized that mud bricks, adobe sun-dried bricks, they don't take plastering that well with chuna or with cement, peels off. Only mud is okay for it. Or that lime slurry mud what we did in our house. that was okay. But even there, if the mix was not correct, it would start peeling off. So Subha said, let's try with some burnt bricks. Let us try using little cement. Let us do some pointing. We'll build with mud, but we'll do pointing. The buildings in the school started in 94. Then this friend of ours landed up here. So he said, well, the thing is that the children must be living with us like a family. We will all live together and we will do it. We built 3 huts. So the whole thing would become a kind of a closed space, quadrangle kind of thing. Always this kind of mud housing again, you can build it in any shape and size. But when you try to do a thatch, then you can't do a thatch in this curved and all that fashion. It invariably affects it. Thatch is very good when you do straight line things or round things. But it doesn't like too many angles and too much of curve and all that, because to do that with the thatch means it needs a lot of material inside. It's not really feasible. And if the white ant manages to come through and it hits one thing, you have to change the whole thing. If it's a straight thatch, then you can repair it. But if it's curved or it's angular, then it's a problem. So a few years back, say around 2000 or something like that, we said like, theek hai, this sustainable lifestyle housing is a good idea. But when they are public spaces, there are children, there are 50 children staying in a place. How do you maintain it unless there is some amount of permanency in the structure that we create? And to build with mud means, termites were there, you couldn't make a hole in the wall, all those kind of problems were there. The windows wouldn't sit properly because it's all mud, and the termites would eat up the window, all that. So I must give Subha most of the credit, because he started experimenting with, he said, we have to use cement. We may not use a hell of a lot, but let us start using cement where it is required.
When I came to Timbuktu in 1995, there are very few structures, very simple, small structures, completely made out of mostly you can say 95% of the material is local material. The main speciality of the housing in Timbuktu is mainly the roofing. We have excellent roofing system made out of the local grass, hardy variety of grass, poda, and for the climate that is there, which is very hot most of the year, is doing very well.
సిమెంట్ వాడకంట కట్టాలని మేము అనుకున్నాం. సిమెంట్ లేకంట కడితే ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది, దానికోసము మామూలుగా మేము పచ్చి ఇట్టికి ప్లస్ మట్టి తర్వాత కొన్ని రోజులు తర్వాత కలిపి సున్నం గ్రౌండ్ చేసి అది కలిపి పెట్టుకున్నాం. ఎందుకంటే సిమెంట్ ఎక్కువ వాడకూడదని ఒక ఇది ఉండేది మాకు. ఆ సిమెంట్ వాడకపోయిన దాంట్లో సిమెంట్ వేస్తే ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది, సిమెంట్ వేయకపోతే ఎట్లా ఉంటుంది అనేది. కానీ మాకు టింబక్టూలో ఏమంటే చాలా చెదలు, సిమెంట్ వేసినా వస్తుంది, సిమెంట్ వేయకపోయినా వస్తుంది. దానికోసము ఫస్ట్లో కట్టేటప్పుడు వల్ల మామూలు దీంట్లోనే కట్టినాము. ఒక 5 ఏళ్ళు 4 ఏళ్ళ తర్వాత అది కొంచెము మళ్ళా ఇది అయింది. ఏమి మన సిమెంట్ కట్టకపోతే ఇట్లా ఉంటుంది, సిమెంట్ కట్టితే అట్లా వస్తుంది. సిమెంట్ వాడిన తర్వాత మళ్ళా చూస్తామని ఒక ఆలోచన వచ్చింది. తర్వాత సిమెంటు వేసిన బిల్డింగ్లు ఒక 5-6 బిల్డింగ్లు వచ్చినాయి. దానికి ఆ చెదలో ఏం లేదు ఇప్పుడు, ఎందుకంటే దానికి చెదలు అంత అవకాశం లేదు.
So that's how in the school we slowly started experimenting and building. First one little building came up and all that. Then we designed another building, and then the kitchen and the mess for the kids came up. Then we thought that we'll build 4 dormitories for the kids. We had enough money to build 2 dormitories. That's also not completed, if you have seen. That's all happening slowly. As we get money, we'll build that. But life goes on, children are there, classes go on, and things like that. There's a small hut, which is a small house, which is the children's house. That is built more or less by the children. It's very fascinating to see how children build. Because for them, this, it doesn't have to be a perfectly straight wall. It can be little this, it doesn't matter, it's perfectly all right. When you build with mud, you can do all that. It's when you don't build with mud that you start using inert material. It has to be perfectly aligned. Subha is an IIT student, knows engineering and all that kind of stuff. But his main thing was to live and work with children in an environment like this. Meanwhile, of course, we had done a lot of land development work. Our whole idea was that whatever rain falls here must not leave this place. We must be able to trap it here. So our groundwater level had gone up and all that kind of stuff. But we also thought that whatever water we use, whether it's in the kitchen or it's in the toilet, bathroom and all that, must be utilized. Otherwise, it won't work. So near our house, we had a small kitchen garden, because that's where the kitchen was and all that. When Subha came, he was very interested in gardening. So with the children, he started doing gardening. So a borewell was made there for them to have a bath and all that. So water came out of that. So that water was channelized and put into the fields, into the place. And every drop of water that was used, other than in the toilet itself, was channeled. So then Subha came up with this idea that why don't we make a tank so we can store the water, the bath water that came, and then use it when we wanted to do. So like that, this thing about water usage started. Then the idea came that these plots of land where the children were doing things, why doesn't each child have one plot or one tree, and that is that child's. Whatever he or she grows there is his or her product, and that will be sold to the our common kitchen, and that amount of money will be put into the bank, and like this they will earn, and then at the end of when they leave the place, a certain amount of money, what is there, will go to them. So that's how this whole thing of plots of land and the children working on their plots started taking place. The whole idea basically is that water should not be just allowed to go.
It is the way our children grow that will decide how each of us will meet our own sky.
We have over a period of time developed our own experience and expertise in doing these kind of constructions. So you see now the houses that we are living, they are all based on whatever we improved upon with, from the learnings from each buildings and each days, and thatching patterns with very simple thatches, and then thatches like hexagon, which is quite complicated, and we are trying to use as much local material as possible. But of course things have changed in the past 10 years. We can say now that in the last 10 to 15 years we have good enough skill to do one of the best thatches in this area, and probably a much more comfortable building in for this environment in this whole area. You can be uh, living without need for the fans or other things on this thing without so you have now the power cuts, all cuts all the time, but here without all that you can still be comfortable enough. And then
My whole thing of coming from Kerala to Andhra, this whole thing was working with the poor. Can I contribute anything constructively to the cause of the poor? So that way, though Timbuktu was very meaningful, it was not enough. No, it was not enough that we are in a place like this, or we are trying an experiment. We are, regreening a piece of land, whatever. It had to be organically linked with the communities outside. To me, otherwise, there will be no meaning. Being here. The women, children, Dalit, disabled, all these people out there, how can they benefit from our experiments? So that way, it was both linked.
I've come to believe that this space is magical now. This space does something to it, to the body, to the soul, and we've been living here now 15 years now, almost, or 14 years. Nobody has got attacked. No bears have attacked us. No snake bites. Nothing fatal has happened. Though we didn't have electricity for years, it's dark in the night, we have no street lights. It's like as if someone is watching over us. So it's like as if these hills and trees and animals, they are looking after us. For me personally, this living here and working here has really made me understand what Gandhiji was talking about in terms of us being the guardians. I just feel that I am here, and it is my dharma to protect, to guard this place, to help this place regenerate and become a space that is a pluralistic space, a space where people can come, a place where people can come and relax and retreat and do their things. And therefore it's always been an open space. We have always invited people to come here. And I personally believe that that this space is always going to be there. People will come, people will go. This is not our family space, It's not something that we make profit from. But we are here as guardians of the earth.
वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे पीड़ पराई जाने रे सकल लोक मां साहुने वंदे निंदा न करे के नीरे वाच काच मन निश्चल राखे, धन धन जननी तेरी रे। वैष्णव जन तो तेने कहिए जे, पीढ़ पराई जाने रे। वैष्णव